Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me this time. I've already recorded this once with no sound on. Welcome to day 25 of 31 days of nervous system practices to support you in creating a resilient, flexible, and well-resourced nervous system. My name's Infinity. Welcome to the School of Emotion. If you're enjoying these practices that you've been learning over these 31 days, please make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend or family member you feel like they'd be helpful for. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out my website, schoolofemotion.com, where I have a $33 per month virtual somatic membership where you get to work with me one-on-one. Well, not one-on-one, but in a group. But you get to work with me, ask me questions. We get to do these practices together. And then I also do one-on-one somatic mentorship. So today we're going to be talking about creating safety in your life. So I'd like you to think for a moment to yourself, what is safety? So I know for me, years ago, safety meant something. Oh, I don't have my lights on. Let's get my lights back on. Safety meant something. Boom, now you can see me. Safety meant something that was outside of me. And in order to feel safe, I needed the outside world to be different. So whether it was how people were, or maybe it was a particular amount of money, or a job, or a partner, or a house, or you name it. There was something outside of me that I, mentally, emotionally required or thought I needed to be safe. But no matter what I had, I still didn't feel safe inside. And so at some point in my life, I was like, well, fuck, this isn't working. Safety must not be out there. Safety must be something that I am responsible for creating. And so it likely wasn't until probably around brain surgery time 7 years ago that I had this whole reorientation. This is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, actually, is a reorientation from needing the outside world to create something for me to feel something inside myself. So safety is your responsibility. Safety is actually something that's internally cultivated. And the ways that I've found to do this is, number one, nourishing your nervous system. So by doing these practices that that I've been sharing here on a daily basis, on learning your triggers, on learning how your nervous system works so that you can be with more of life, so you can create the expanse to feel different things, so that when your body does go into the natural responses of fight, flight, or freeze, you can move through the energy and it doesn't get stuck and stored in your body. So that you can move through, so that you can, the trauma that you've had in your past that's been stuck and stored in your body, so you can move that through, so that you actually don't live in the past, so that you can live from the possibility of the future. So nourishing your nervous system, daily nervous system practices is one of the main ways to create safety in your body, in your life, because safety is really in your nervous system. Your nervous system creates how you feel. It creates how you think. So when your nervous system is resourced, you're going to feel safe in your body. It's going to be a place you want to be. You're not going to think that going out there is where you're going to find the answers. And then somatic practices. So I don't remember what day it was, but we did a practice called hands on body. And so somatic practices for me are practices that work with your body, work with your emotions, work with going into your inner world and exploring the light and the dark parts of you, exploring those little caverns and crevices that we've made not okay, that we've silenced, that we've put away, that tend to get louder and louder the more we ignore them. And so it's really integrating the shadow parts of ourself, understanding the shadow parts, understanding the different aspects, the inner child, the parts of us that didn't have a voice when we were younger, and giving them a voice now. And then the last piece that I've found is really important for creating safety for someone is to create boundaries, to establish boundaries in your life. And as you learn, as you grow, as your self-awareness about yourself, as your self-awareness expands, having boundaries become a requirement, become a necessity, become something that actually allows you to claim your power back, allows you to come more into you. And so I remember I used to think like, oh, boundaries are like, yeah, I have them. And it was more like having the word boundary was the boundary. Like, yeah, I have boundaries, respect my boundary. But no one can ever know what your boundary is unless you're willing to communicate it, unless you're willing to share it, and unless you know what the fuck it is. So boundaries are something that you need to know. It needs to be communicated, and it isn't something that someone else. So there's a nuance here in the boundary creation, in you understanding what you need and then asking for it. And then if you don't get it, then you are the one responsible for upholding the boundary. It isn't that somebody doesn't respect your boundary, it is that you aren't respecting your boundary. So you are the one in power here. So a boundary might be, let's say my daughter is really aggravating me. She's a teenager. We're like this, mother daughter teenager vibes. And I am super activated. I'm super triggered. I'm super stressed. And I don't have the capacity in myself to communicate with her clearly. So my boundary might be, Imani, if you do not stop this, then I'm going to take some time for myself in my room. Or Imani, if this continues, then I'm going to, go on a drive or go on a walk or something like that. And the reason we communicate our boundaries also is so that the other person knows what we need, so that they can honor it, and so that it isn't something that is taken personally or that um, like, if I do this for myself, if I state my boundary, then I'm not victimized by my needs. Then I'm not victimized by people not understanding what I need because I've communicated it. It's there. Here it is. I know what it is. You know what it is. And I can respect myself. Does that make sense? It's like really nuanced and it really depends on like the case to case circumstance, but it is something that you have to be willing to do for yourself. The boundary cannot be, if this happens, then you won't something, because we can't control other people's behaviors. So the really important piece in creating boundaries for yourself is that it's something that you're willing to do, something within your power and control, not someone else's. So a lot of times boundaries mean saying no, not doing things, walking away from situations, shifting things that you are in control of within yourself, within your own life. Because like, as I said, other people can be doing other people. Let's see here, what else? So as you start to create these boundaries, just as you start to do the nervous system and the somatic practices, you're going to learn yourself more. You're going to understand yourself more. You're going to know what you need more, because you can't expect someone else to know what you need if you don't know what you need. So it's really important that you start cultivating this relationship internally within yourself so that you can start expressing it externally through your boundaries. And every time you have a boundary, every time you let your voice be heard, you let your needs be heard, it actually nurtures this relationship with yourself. You begin to trust yourself more. And the more you can trust yourself, it's like all of this power and energy that at points in our lives we have given over or given up because we didn't know how or we didn't have the capacity, it starts coming back to ourselves. And every time, even though it's hard, if you're not used to creating boundaries, every time you do it for yourself, for me, I feel so much more powerful afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I did that hard thing I didn't have the capacity to do when I was younger. Or I did that hard thing I didn't have the capacity to do last week. And there's this sense of like pride and inner knowing and understanding. It's like so fucking beautiful. So for today's practice, because we aren't all practiced in boundaries, we haven't all, learned these or been taught them growing up. Sometimes we can realize we haven't had the boundary, and there's this internal turmoil inside us, this feeling of like, fuck, I need to do something. Why didn't I stand up for myself? I know recently I was having a massage from a massage therapist, a male massage therapist that I'd seen multiple times. And he was making all these really inappropriate comments while massaging me. And I'm naked there on the massage table and I'm feeling so uncomfortable in myself. But my little self is like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. It's too uncomfortable. It's too uncomfortable. This is going to be over soon. Maybe he'll just stop. But he kept saying shit, but I couldn't say anything in the moment. And I left there feeling so gross and like I had dishonored myself and like, why couldn't I have just fucking told him to stop? Or why didn't I get off the table and walk away? And I'm fucking 44 years old. So like what I was able to do after that though was I sat with myself. I honored myself. I did the hands-on body practices where I talked to the parts of myself that couldn't speak up, that didn't know how to say anything. And I said, you know what though? I can stand up for you now. I have realized what you need and I can. And so I wrote him a message, and sometimes boundaries are easier not face to face. Sometimes writing a message or a letter or a phone call, like you have to work with what you have, what you're capable of in the moment. So I wrote him a message and I had my boundary there. I was able to think through it clearly, what I needed, what had happened, what wasn't okay. And it was like after I did that, I felt so proud of myself and I felt so compassionate for all the parts of myself and all the times in my life where I wasn't able to do that. And I wasn't mad at myself for not being able to do it in the moment. I was like, I get it. I understand. I was like, it's not easy. So this isn't like you're going to have boundaries one day and you're just going to be like, I fucking got this. I got my boundaries. It will get easier and they will get clearer and you will understand them more. But it is like, it's a continuous process through your life of understanding where they need to be, how strong they need to be, what level they need to be at. It's a way of protecting your energy, of holding your energy, of loving yourself. So when we don't have the capacity to do this, like I didn't in that moment, one thing that we can do when we feel that disconnection in ourselves, that we didn't do it or we need to do it, we know it needs to happen, but the words aren't quite there. We aren't quite ready yet. There are some somatic practices you can do for yourself. So one is called the power stance. And I'm not going to stand up because my video is not set up for that. Is where you take a wide stance with your legs. So legs out wider than your shoulders. You make fists with your hands. You bring your hands like down at your sides, a little bit away from your body. And you like make fists and you build your power in your body. So imagine your body growing bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And you're getting more solid in your body and you're expanding your power. You're using that energy in your body to make yourself bigger and more powerful as you breathe in and expand and out, making those fists tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And there's some statements that can come here. You can say no. You can say enough. You can say, what else? I take my power back. I reclaim my voice. Anything that comes up for you, you can say that statement as you're standing here, fists made, muscles tight, super powerful, reclaiming that energy that you didn't have the capacity, but you do now. And then relax. And then bring your hands to your heart. Maybe from that practice, you feel your heart beating a little faster. Maybe you got a little sweaty. I built a little sweat up. Maybe you feel tingles. Maybe your mind's calmed a little bit. So you've reclaimed that energy now that you can take into the situation, that you can take to create that boundary that needs to happen with the external world. Another way that you can build this power and remind yourself that you do have everything you need inside you to support yourself is you could just do the fists. You could do the wall push. I think we did this on the anger day where you just push the wall and it's just enough. The same statements. No, I reclaim my energy. I take my voice back. Any statement like that that helps you to remember that it's okay for you to have a voice. It's okay for you to have needs. It's important for you to communicate with these things. People cannot read your mind. People do not know. Just because you need one thing doesn't mean that someone else needs the same thing. And people need to hear it again and again. Our friends and family members and loved ones need us to communicate with them consistently. Just because we've set our boundary one time doesn't mean they're going to remember it, doesn't mean they're going to honor it, doesn't mean they're going to understand it. So it's something that we get to continuously cultivate, this capacity to stand up for ourselves, this capacity to create safety in our own bodies, in our own lives. So that is the practice today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. If you've been enjoying these practices, please like, subscribe, share, and I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.